Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Craig Burrell, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Lieutenant Commander Greg McTurnan. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. Also, we welcome the family of Supply Assistant Horace Russell Keats, whose story will be told shortly. Family will lay a tribute at the base of the Pool of Reflection. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Service Clubs Association and RSL Victoria who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony around Australia. Also this evening, we are joined by visitors who will be laying wreaths, and welcome members of 12 Army Cadet Unit, Bulimba, Brisbane, Queensland. Please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families, friends and all Australians could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and other operations over more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember Supply Assistant Horace Russell Keats, who was killed in action during the Battle of Savo Island on the 9th of August 1942. Born in the Sydney suburb of Stanmore on the 22nd of August 1921, Russell Keats was the eldest son of prominent musicians Horace and Janet Keats. Like his parents, he was a musician, playing the flute, piano and organ. He also had a strong interest in the military, and despite some hesitation from his parents, he joined the militia in 1938. A year later, following the outbreak of the Second World War, he enlisted in the Royal Australian Navy. After less than a year at the Navy's training establishment, HMAS Cerberus in Victoria, Keats was briefly posted to HMAS Penguin before joining HMAS Canberra in December 1940. Commissioned into the RAN in 1928, Canberra was a county-class heavy cruiser, armed with 8 8-inch guns and 4 4-inch guns. From 1940, the cruiser served in the Indian Ocean on escort duties and patrolling for German surface raiders. In March 1941, Canberra and a light cruiser intercepted the German supply ship Coburg. A regular correspondent, Keats never revealed any operational matters about Canberra in his letters home, although he did hint they were hunting enemy raiders. Keats's shipmates well remember his musical contribution to life at sea. He and a fellow rating hosted a weekly music program that played records over the cruiser's internal broadcast system. Shipmates also called upon Keats's knowledge of French when on shore leave. Following Japan's entry into the war in January 1942, Canberra began convoy escort duties to New Guinea, Malaya and Java. The cruiser was in Sydney Harbour on the night of the Japanese midget submarine attack on the 31st of May and the 1st of June. A few days later, Canberra began patrolling in the Coral Sea as part of an American naval task force and was part of the naval force supporting the American amphibious landings on Guadalcanal and Tulagai. A naval battle against a powerful Japanese force ensued. Canberra was struck by 2 torpedoes and over 20 salvos of shell fire. Mortally crippled, the cruiser sank at about 8 a.m. on the 9th of August 1942. Of the 819 men on board, 193 were reported killed, wounded or missing. Keats was among the dead. He was just 20 years old. In less than a fortnight, he would have turned 21. Keats is commemorated on the Plymouth Naval Memorial in Britain. His name is also listed here on the Roll of Honour on my left, along with some 40,000 other Australians who died during the Second World War. He is also remembered with every performance of the song Over the Quiet Waters, which was composed by his father in memory of his son. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of courage and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Supply Assistant Horace Russell Keats and all of those Australians who have given their lives in service to our nation. They have no grave but the cruel sea. No flowers lay at their head. A rusting hulk is their tombstone, a fast on the ocean bed. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. Thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and good evening.